listening to the questionnaire.
Say that again.
You're listening to the questionnaire.
I've just started.
Right here, for your ears, for your eyes.
The questionnaire.
Get your comic on.
Poke it out, poke it out, poke it out, poke it out.
Perhaps one of the most prominent narratives among comic fans is the story of the childhood collection. Yeah, and check it out, man. That's one thing, if you really, really think about it, that has been lost due to streaming technology, right? Is collections. There's so many collections that aren't had. So we're going to get into that and a whole lot more on this particular PanCon, yeah, as we discuss streaming and its effects on society and entertainment. Yeah, we got three great individuals with us, man. One, I'd like to think if you've been watching the questionnaire, you know fairly well that's that Major's Comics and Games resident comic book dealer himself, Dave Milburn.
Hey guys, how we doing? Dave from Mages Comics here.
Yeah, we're gonna get into. I'm curious. We got a lot of different aspects we're gonna get into, right? So we got another individual, man. He runs a con up there in Canada, as well as he, puts out those independent films. And Robert Bellamy.
I'll go with that. That's it. I've been called worse.
What, did I butcher your last name?
Bellamy.
Bellamy. How did I? You know what? It's because I was concentrating so hard on not getting the next one wrong. It really was, man, because we're going to get into something that he's getting ready to do. And it's more of the positive side of streaming on what he's got going on in Damion Poitier.
And you did it right. So, I'm sorry you were sacrificed, Rob. But
I'll take it. I'll take it.
And it's bad, Rob. You've only been on. This is your only third time on the show, and I know it's Bellamy. I don't know why my brain. It was literally because I was like Poitier. I was so focused on getting that right. I got that wrong, and whatever. But thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the questionnaire, man. We're going to chat, like I said, about streaming and its effects on entertainment and society, which I think are extensive, right? And numerous things, and constantly changing. I just got to say, initially, my opinion as someone that makes music, I put out music. I literally have over 1 million plays upon the distribution, or upon these sites that you can go and check out all of just my music on as The Unknown Factor. It's upsetting how little money I have, knowing that it's been that many times that people have listened to my music. So I know there's that effect, right? So that's just a little touch on the music side of it, because I know it's affected that a great deal. I just want to get everyone's initial thoughts on the overall, like, what do you think of the positives and negatives? And then we're going to go in depth a little bit more on what everyone discusses within that regard. There's probably going to be jumping around because it's the questionnaire and how we're going to do. Since I introduced you last, Damion, you go first.
Okay, so positive is accessibility. A lot of people, a lot of creators who previously did not have the ability to reach an audience now are able to do so. So that's quite positive in that, you may not have had the channels available to you to get there. That's also a negative, by the way. A lot of people who didn't have access can now reach it. So that's a two-way street.
It's the Jeff Goldblum. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right. So positive and negative is accessibility. Negative is accessibility. But the immediacy of things and the fact that streaming has enabled so many methodologies of showing your stuff to go means that the attention span is very diffuse and very quick. The short, you gotta be punchy. The things you have to do now to catch people's attention and the things you have to do to hold it are much more difficult, which, if you got something good, it'll stand out. So that's good. But sometimes now that they're doing so much algorithmic work, you can have something amazing that gets buried.
You got to be like, look, it's Godzilla with a cup of noodles. Look, isn't it entertaining?
Right.
Yes.
Pretty much. So there's positives and negatives to it in that, and so so positive access, negative algorithmic choking, and attention span.
We're gonna get real in depth into a lot of what you just said. Before we do that, though, Robert, what's your initial thoughts on the positive and negatives of that on society as well as entertainment?
I got two negatives, sadly. The first negative is it makes you lazy. And I'm I did it, so I know what I mean. Like, I was sitting, this is before Disney Plus. I'm sitting on the couch and I wanted to watch Iron Man 2 because all the Marvel stuff was on Netflix, and I'm flapping through. I have the Blu-ray right on my shelf. I'm going through Netflix. It wasn't on there. I ended up watching some other piece of crap because I didn't want to get my butt up and put a DVD in. And that was the point I realized, oh my God, streaming makes you lazy because you can just sit there. And the other negative for me as a filmmaker is it's sadly, you now have to plan for a smaller screen because 90% of everything you watch is now on phones. So you don't do these big epics anymore. I had a feature script I'm now toning down as a TV series for Bell, and I have to change everything that I was doing for shot layouts because on the small screen, it won't matter as much as it would have on the big screen. So those are the two negatives I have. I do like the positive, like Damion said, about accessibility, because you're right, literally anywhere you can sit down, watch a movie, watch a show, whatever you want. So it's there. But heaven forbid if the internet goes down.
That would be hilarious. I want to point out because, like, and I look, I say that as someone like, if the internet goes down, look, this show ends. That's just that. That's gonna happen, right? And there's so many wonderful people that I've met in the span of doing this show that I'm gonna be like, that sucks. They don't have their phone number. Let me see if I can find their address. We're gonna somebody send the Pony Express my way. They got to get to Canada for this one, right? And, that's so. But how do you conduct the questionnaire? I write them letters and they answer them, and then
Yep.
And then 6 weeks later, I write a response, and then 6 weeks later, I get a response, and eventually, I put it out in a magazine. That's literally how it would make magazines.
Here's all the letters.
Yeah, it would be really, really, really tedious. You have no positives, though, Rob?
Oh, I do. Like I said, accessibility, because literally you could be, sitting in traffic, it's a traffic jam, and you're not going anywhere for a while. You can sit and watch a TV show. You're doing laundry in a laundromat. You can watch a TV show. So it is super that way, like, because you can't carry a DVD player with you everywhere.
Okay. I'm gonna be nitpicking all these points from everyone. I'm just waiting because before I do that stuff, Dave, I want your initial thoughts, and I'm curious if you have thoughts as far as streaming and its impact on comics specifically, based on you working at Mages.
Right. Okay. So I'll say first a positive. The accessibility is great, and being able to find a whole series. So long story short, Bob's Burgers, never watched it. Started it last fall, finished all 15 seasons in the last 6 months. It was our go-to stress relief night ending show every Sunday. We don't want to go back to work tomorrow. What are we going to do to relax? We can pop in Bob's Burgers. It was great. Disney Plus, Hulu, thank you. Negatives. There's no water cooler talk. So like, there's no event television anymore. So you get like Game of Thrones was event television, The Mandalorian event television. But I have so many friends that are also like, I'll just wait until the season's over so I can just watch it all at once. Being able to dive into that episode every week and like watch YouTubers dissect the episode and everything, that's the better part of these streaming services where we can watch just one episode. That's just my. But we don't get a lot of that anymore. It's now just let's just throw 8 episodes at once and we forget about it a week from now.
I thought I heard somebody getting ready. I couldn't tell if it was Rob or Damion. I thought one of you was getting ready to comment on what Dave said.
I agreed with him, and it's weird because as a marketing standpoint, you get more publicity on episodic television than you do on dropping a whole series.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why more people don't do that.
Well, they're chasing that Netflix buzz, and also if they have any fear that the project isn't going to do as well as they think. If they don't have, if they have a lack of project confidence, they'll definitely dump it. All at once.
First 4 episodes suck. We better get it out there.
Yeah, but that kind of.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Damion. Go ahead.
Oh, no, it's all good. Yeah. No, that was. I mean, go ahead.
Arcane had absolutely immense amount of viewership, but because they didn't have all the viewership in one weekend, they were, oh, okay, we're done after 2 seasons. It just wasn't working. And it's like, how? You know, we're going to get our final season of Stranger Things this year. People have been waiting for 3 years for this season. We're going to get it in one weekend. Everyone's going to talk about it for a week, and then everyone's going to forget all about the show again.
Right.
You know, that's not fun. That's not fun.
And I would fully agree. And I mean, Damion, you were in a very, very, very long running show in the Flash TV show, playing Goldface. And do you think, had they done that to where they just dropped a whole season at once, you think it would have had the longevity that it did?
Absolutely not. No. Can anyone think of a streaming show that's being dropped entirely that has more than 3-4 seasons? Is there one besides Stranger Things?
More than 10 episodes too.
I mean, seriously, yeah. Like, think about it. If there's any, are there any shows that are dropped top to bottom that have a good number of seasons, like I said, that go beyond 5?
Mm-mm.
I can't think of a single one personally. I mean, it just occurred to me, so I haven't really done the research on it, but I'm trying to think.
I think you're right, though.
Yeah. Oh. Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
So, you know, like, we just finished Only Murders in the Building, just finished season 4. And they released 1 episode a season or a week. And it took 2 months to see the whole series.
Right.
Oh, darn, you know, but we were excited every week when a new episode would drop.
Right. Yeah, like I said, I can't think of a single one that has any longevity.
It's not only that, too, but if you drop a whole season in one day, everybody binges it. Now they have a whole year to wait, as opposed to episodic television, which takes up about 5 months. So your wait seems smaller and people are more interested.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
That's a terrifying point. It's a point I don't remember where we've discussed this, but we've had conversations about streaming and the impact, like how it's done things. And I think the main point was it's the fact that it doesn't have that slow build. I think, and Dave, I think you might have been involved in one of these conversations because we were talking about Deadly Class, the show. And
right,
that was the show. The fact that it was dropped all at once, you did not have the build for that. It was such a wonderful. Like, I've got the whole series back here on this bookshelf. I know Dave's got it on his bookshelf at home as well, and it's one that, had they taken the time and really fleshed it out and given it that, drop an episode a week, there's no reason that show couldn't have ran 6 seasons. I would say they could have done if they did only 10 episodes a season, easy.
Yeah, but you didn't have time to connect with the characters and care whether or not the characters survived by the end of the season. So when they hit you with all of it in one weekend, you're like, oh, well, I didn't really care for that guy. He didn't have anything I cared about. So who cares? He died. You know,
and you don't have time to find any nuance in his performance. You don't have any time to find and see. He does that thing that pisses you off, and by the time you're in hour 4, you're still mad about that. Half a week later, you might have time to go, well, but he did this, and you have time to think about it and really maybe actually connect with the character and the performance instead of big stream.
Yeah, you talk to a coworker who's like, wait a second, no, man, I had something like that happen to me, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I should look at him different next week. And there's
back to the water cooler talk. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very valid point, Damion, as far as you don't, because the fact you're binge watching it, it's you have that initial moment and you don't have the nuance or the conversations with other people before you just continue on and on and on. That's funny. I never realized that and how much it would affect actors as far as the nuance, the little things that they would do in their performances, and the fact that they would get disregarded so quickly because people have moved on to something else such a rapid pace.
Yep. You can build something very nice, and then nobody notices it because nobody's talking about it, and it doesn't have time to build up and get to that point where somebody goes, oh my god, the anticipation, like you said, the anticipation's gone. You have none of that. So
yeah.
Oh, that's
think about the buzz from Lost. That was a show I never even watched, and I knew more about that show because every week people would be talking about Lost and what's going on. And it's just because you're talking around the office about it. So.
Yeah. Even more current, The Last of Us.
Yeah.
You know, everybody was talking about that. And you saw so many videos come out about each episode. They would break them all down. And so, yeah, the interest was there. And because it was episodic, it lasted so much longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It keeps that buzz alive. Well, Walking Dead. You think Walking Dead would have been a phenomenon in the 2010s if they would have released 20 episodes in one weekend? Instead, we had a talk show at the end of every night, where they would go live, and they were like,
big built the water cooler.
Big water cooler, baby. Yeah.
So do you think then with that and the fact that like the water cooler talk is dead, but at the same time with streaming and how it is, you also have, as you were saying, Dave, the breakdowns. You have people talking about every particular episode. Do you think that has ostensibly replaced water cooler talk? Is other people talking to you about what happened that you don't even know? Let's be real honest.
I do agree with what you're saying, because I think the water cooler talk now is the videos breaking down stuff. That is now what we consider our water cooler talk. It's just when it's episodic, those water coolers last longer. When you're talking about 1 hour of time. But when you drop a season, like we'll say Sandman, was there 8 or 10 episodes? I can't remember now. But you're talking about all 10.
That says a lot. That says a lot right there. Right there, Rob. The fact that you don't even remember how many episodes says a lot about the conversation that we're having.
Exactly. Because you're now talking about a massive amount of time with the same amount of people that you would have talked about 1 hour. So the conversations get so lost.
Damion, I really feel for you as an actor now. Because I never thought about it in the capacity of, like you said, because I don't think you have that so much if you're going to the theater, but I think the streaming has also heavily affected people going to the theater, because it's like, why would I go see a movie and pay, especially if you're taking the family, probably around $100 when you wrap around everything, you know what I mean? As opposed to where I can just use the Netflix at home and let's pick a random movie that we haven't seen out of the 3 billion that are on the 3 streaming services we have. That, and then if you get into the fact of, like I said, and I'm sure I'm sure you've seen a royalty check from a streaming service, Damion, that it was like, this should have been more if streaming services didn't exist, kind of thing, right?
Streaming has gutted residuals. It's absolutely gutted it.
It was never part of the negotiation before because it didn't exist. Yeah.
No. And every time there's new technology,
part of the strike, right?
Part of the which?
Part of the strike from 2 years ago.
Yeah. Well, last year. But
last year ago.
They even discuss it more. But part of the issue is this: every time there's a new technology, it's like, oh, we don't know what this new technology is. We don't know what's going to go on with it. And then, it's like, okay, well, we're not going to worry about that then. We'll kind of table that discussion. And then they go, put all your money into that technology. We're making this the next big thing, And then, so that's why the AI thing was so big, because they're like, oh, well, we don't know what's going to happen with AI. And we're like, look, you done pulled the wool over our eyes like 3 or 4 times. After VHS, you did it with DVDs. I mean, you did it with DVDs. Laser, Blu-ray, you did it with streaming. We're not falling for the banana in the tailpipe when it comes to the AI stuff. No. We're not doing it.
You're not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe.
You're not going to fall.
So there was a big, putting down to the foot. Unfortunately, this strike came on the tail of the funny thing is, right before the pandemic hit, we had the streaming wars, where everybody was trying to, and one of the things I've noticed is that one of the methodologies of making a thing is to just overwhelm people with it until they become, everything's blitzkrieg. Every like strategy for corporate whatever is blitzkrieg now. It's like, just keep hitting you with it until you become like just until it becomes normalized, and then you're in, and then they keep going. Well, they were trying to do that with streaming services, but then pandemic shut down productions, so they had to slow down productions, and then they had to start counting beans and seeing what was actually making sense and what wasn't, and they were like, oh, a lot of this isn't making sense. So then that's what, and then so then you have a strike. They're already going, okay, we're producing too much stuff and not all of it's hitting. Then you have a strike, so they're not producing anything because of the strike. So now on the other side of that, everything's upside down. Nobody knows who's supposed to be doing what. Production is just stalled out in so many ways. Money streams that they had established have been broken. You know, it's just a mess. It is a big, huge mess in terms of what's going on in entertainment right now. And then you throw AI into that mix. So now nobody knows what's next, and nobody can tell. And you know, Quibi actually was not great for us either, because Quibi or Quibi?
Quibi. I believe it's Quibi.
Quibi, because they were like, oh, short form is the way to go, but they never bothered to build it.
Oh yeah, Quibi. I remember that now. Okay, yeah.
They didn't even bother to build it. They were like, short form's the way to go. Here, give us money and we'll give you short form, and you can only watch it on your phone. And like everybody's like, and they didn't have a banger. They didn't have a banger IP to like pull people to the service.
They had one good one because they did The Fugitive, which I thought was really well done.
But that's not for, like, the kids aren't watching The Fugitive.
No.
The kids aren't like, ooh, The Fugitive. You know what I mean? It's like I'm saying, they didn't have that universal banger that grabbed everybody.
Yeah, and honestly, of all the titles I saw, that was the only one that caught my eye. Everything else was.
You need 3 to 4 bangers to build a service.
Yep.
You know, and you do it, you build it. You don't just say, hey, this is what's going on. You say, hey, look, we're gonna do this. We're gonna offer this. You know, you put a YouTube channel up. You do something else to get people involved. You do a YouTube channel and you put all your pilots on YouTube. We're gonna watch episode 2. Sign up for the service.
Yeah.
You know, but there was no entry gate.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of money, a lot of movie money and things like that, investment money went into that, and a lot of faith in what was the next thing went into that. So when it completely shattered, that also broke a lot of the lines that enabled us to, you know, to create and build and do the things we have loved doing.
That was like, man, why'd you have to end it like that, Damion? Why like, dude, you stabbed me in the heart, like, and I know it wasn't intentional, but it hurt, man. It really hurt, because I think that's a thing, what you just said is, I don't like personally how much long form entertainment is taking a hit the farther along that we go. You know, like, and I say this is, look, I'm like, I just found this real nice thing to where I can cut reels real fast, so I can get more reels and TikToks and all that out for the show. And you know, I think it's being helpful, and we're about to wrap season 2 up, man. I'm trying to end season 2 with a couple bangers. This PanCon right here, another PanCon where we're going to get into the economy of superheroes with an excellent group of individuals, and another PanCon where we're going to wrap up with just a lot of people from the crew of the questionnaire, you know. And I expect them to pick on me a lot, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, I seen that smirk, Dave. Don't give me no crap, all right? But the fact that it's killed long form entertainment, it's interesting to think, because I think that has a lot to do with one of the effects that streaming has had. Is it's slaughtered long form entertainment. But at the same time, it's funny because I guarantee there are a bunch of people, I binge watch stuff. Okay, well then back to the point Damion made. You binge watch, but do you notice the nuances from the first episode or the second episode or the third episode when you're already on the 4th episode? Probably not. You know what I mean? Therefore, you're technically missing out on a lot of the long form entertainment because of how quickly you're consuming it. And you're probably scrolling TikTok at the same time at some point during binge watching those 4 episodes. Yeah. And I hate the fact that everyone nods. I just want to walk away right now. And that's depressing.
But you know what else is killing long form entertainment? It's something you just mentioned, Jay.
What?
TikTok.
It's reels. It's all those short little clips because that's what everybody's watching. So if it's longer than a minute and a half, next one, off to the next one. That's what really has been hurting a lot of the long form entertainment, is because people don't have the attention span that they used to.
I think it's funny that I'm about to hold up the book that I did based on the fact that we brought up his name in the pre-show that you can check out over on the Patreon. If I get things together, I got so many pre-shows to drop, right? Because I screwed up his name repetitively. But, you know, it's everybody's in the suburb and they're all being a bunch of, you know what I mean? Thanks, Fabian. I just finished that book, by the way. It's phenomenal. If anybody wants a nice murder mystery, but that's
What the hell? You all right over there?
No, I'm not, man. It drives me crazy because I don't think it's we're gonna get to the positives, I promise, of streaming here in a minute, because I got a real good one on deck, and we're gonna get it to where there is some positivity in this. It's not all gonna be doom and gloom, because I'm not really trying to be all about that. But I think it's crazy that I think there's so many people that don't understand that in consuming things the way that you do, in the reels, in all of this, you lose a certain sense of your humanity, I think, within that. You know, you lose empathy, you lose concern for other people, you lose, like you said, Damion, if you're not noticing those nuances in the performances, how are you ever going to notice nuances in life?
Right. Yeah, you're not trained to look for them anymore.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%.
All right. So
everything's fast. It's fast. It's got to move.
Mm-hmm.
And look, my
streaming is. Oh, so sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Rob.
I was just gonna say, streaming has brought back one more thing that people hated, but they don't seem to notice now. And it's when satellite came out and they were getting packaged to death. It's literally what's going on right now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like you don't have one streaming service.
Yep.
Nobody I know has one streaming service.
That's funny, but you're right.
I canceled 3 last month.
I don't
keep bundling them up and reducing because I keep bundling them, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can get ESPN, Hulu, and Disney all at once now, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't combine my Hulu with my Disney, so I actually had to cancel my Hulu, and in order to be able to bundle with my Disney. And now I've got both of them for cheaper than what I was paying for just Disney.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did that too.
For a year anyway.
And I actually still have cable because I have it for my internet. And so cable is paying for part of my Disney. And
that's great.
So Disney just tried to be like part of that, and it's crazy. Because you get the basic for free, and then you can upgrade. You can pay for the upgrade, and then you bundle it with the pay. Yes.
I love combos like that. That's awesome. But I don't have television, like regular television. Everything I have now is
I don't either.
Streaming.
I have it. I don't watch it.
Yeah.
I have
really?
No.
I can't remember the last time I actually turned it on.
I have an antenna. I need to watch movies.
That's even like.
Oh. I missed what you said, Dave.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have an antenna if I need to watch my local weather.
That's right. Okay.
Oh my God!
Bully on MeTV.
You have an antenna, Dave?
I don't use the regular television.
How old are you, Dave, that you have an antenna?
Right?
What the whole
That's
yeah,
awesome.
like
you just dated yourself, bro.
It's a flat one.
Please tell me you have one of those boxes that you have to turn so that it shifts the antenna. Tell me you have one of those.
It's a.
Oh, nice. We're gonna go through it.
Oh, it's up there. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just a flat, just right up there.
It's modern. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say, "Look, I got a big old dish out in my backyard. Like you gotta go out and turn the dial." And oh my God, man, that's.
I can get HBO and talk to people on Venus.
I had a friend who had one of those crazy dishes back in grade school, and that thing was like 8 feet wide on top of their house. And when they would change the channel, it would actually be moving. It was wild. His parents knew every time he tried to pull up the Playboy channel.
Exactly. Exactly.
Now you want to get anything to that effect, all you got to do is type something in on Google, and it's a whole different level of easy, man. Like the access is insane of what you can find. But
Yes.
I'll tell you,
Why would you watch regular television when that's there?
well, it does make me with what you said, David. I'm going to keep on going back to that point of nuances, man, because I just never thought of that, and it's kind of hit my brain a little hard, Damion. I'm not going to lie, man. It makes me wonder if the place where you're going to see things like that most are podcasts, you know, because it's the podcast where you're going to see a group of individuals sitting just having a conversation about whatever they're having a conversation about. Because let's be real honest, you can find a podcast. I think about anything by now. I don't know if there's a subject that you could pick that you couldn't find a podcast for. If you can, I don't know what kind of weird, obscure, crazy underground thing you're into, but whatever. I mean, I bet there's
you should start a podcast.
Yeah, maybe as long as it's not about a Serbian film. All right, please don't. Yeah, I'm gonna take that bite this time, Dave. I didn't with Olivia, but oh my God, we're not. But please, no one ever do a podcast about the Serbian film.
Yeah.
Sorry. Damion, I hope you're very, very much just completely oblivious to what that is.
I am 100% oblivious to what that is.
Okay, keep yourself that way. It's
Oh, well, don't worry about it. You've made it clear that's not something I need to be interested in. So
okay, yeah.
Keep myself clear of whatever that madness is.
Put it this way, it's interesting in theory when you hear people talk about it, but then you watch it and realize I never should have gone down that slope.
Yeah.
I'm good. Man. You won't see me involved in that, whatever that is.
There's a podcast on it.
Oh, all right. Hey, let's switch this up. Right. Let's switch it up because there is completely the other side of streaming because, like you said, it gives accessibility to where anybody has the ability to do something creative and put it out. And in some cases, maybe they shouldn't. Maybe it's really bad. You know what I mean? Maybe they shouldn't stay. I'm sure some people listen to my music and go, dude, this guy should not do this. This is horribly, horribly offensive music. And that's fair. That's probably true. I'm sure some people think that. I'm sure some people think Harry Potter is terribly offensive too, and it never should have been made. So, there's all different levels, and, everybody, float, use whatever you need to float your boat. I'm not going to give any kind of gruff about it as long as you're not hurting people in doing that. But I do think it's good.
Harm done.
Yeah, as long as there's not harm done, I think it's fine. But just the accessibility, I think, makes it to where there's so many different options that it causes two things. One, it causes it to where there's so many different things that it does instantly kill that water cooler talk. Because no one, if you got 100 people, if you went and grabbed 10 people, let's say, and threw them in a room, the chances that they've watched the same show in the past week are pretty slim.
Yeah.
And that's kind of crazy, but at the same time, it allows it to where there are closer knit communities from the shows that are being watched. It's just typically these people will be farther and there will be more distance from them. But at the same time, there are positives like what's going on with your horse right now, Damion, and the fact that you intend to make a documentary about it as far as within all that. So I've checked a couple reels, and as far as what you're doing, I want more information as far as in regards to all of that, because then, like I said, that's a very personal thing that you can put out that is also has a lot of positivity to it. So I think things like that are awesome.
You want to get into it now? I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like I've been dominating the conversation. I don't want to hold.
Go for it.
I guess I'll dominate for a little longer. You guys are all right with it.
Hey,
Okay,
look,
so-
man. Look, I told you that when I found out you were only in 6 episodes of The Flash, like you dominated that performance. Because if you'd have told me you were like in a whole season, I'd have been like, yes, that sounds right. I found out you were in 6 episodes. I was like, the crap is this, man? That is not right. But
That's the sign of a great character, though, is you believe, having watched it, that they are in much more than physically there.
I wish the check was reflective of that.
That's the other thing, yes.
And then, the fact that it's on streaming now and the residuals
I
you
really wish the checks reflected your belief in my
exactly
in my overwhelming presence on the show. But I got involved in a writing job, and it was a desk job for the first time in my life. And it was during the pandemic, so it was absolutely beautiful because nothing was going on. And I got a from home desk job. I was writing, everything was good. And at first I was in, everything was creative, it was flowing, it was fantastic, I loved it. And then, wow, can I shorten the story? Because I just went long form on you. Okay, head started to crush in on me. Wife was looking at me, she's like, all right, you know what? I know what to do. I know how to fix this. Spent 7 months, 2 to 3 hours a day, searching. Found me Sammy. Now, Sammy and we looked at each other. Sammy is a Percheron. He's an 18-1 Percheron. He's between 2,000 and 2,500 pounds. He's a big, he's a monstrous, huge teddy bear, right? We looked at each other and we were like, like he's literally a part of myself I didn't know was missing. It was kismet, and instantly we fell in love. I had only been riding and dealing with horses for about a couple of years. So it was a big learning curve for me, and he was very generous with my lack of knowledge. And so for about 2 years, it was beautiful. It was perfect. Everything was going really good. Then all of the video game contraction stuff hit, and my writing job went away. And had I known that it was going to go away, I don't know that I would have I don't know what I'd invested in a horse, because those things are not cheap. So it was the security that I had because of the job that I was like, okay, I can do this, because the job was supposed to lead to bigger things, and it just didn't. So now I have a horse and I'm scrambling, but I'm making things work, things like that. And I'm like, Lord willing, the creek don't rise. And then the creek rose. Sammy got sick, and he's got 2 conditions. One is called PSSM1, which is basically horse diabetes.
Okay.
Right? But you can manage that with diet and exercise. The other one is called DSLD, which is degenerative sensory ligament desmitis. And what that does is basically horses walk on their toes, and then the foot comes down and goes back up, right? And so the ligament that hold those up have weakened in his case, and his feet are like this now. That pulls his entire body out of alignment.
Really?
Yeah, and it's not comfortable. It's pretty painful, and it causes swelling and things and all kinds of other secondary ailments and things like that. And it's not curable. In 100% of horses that get that, at some point, you're gonna have to let them go. The thing that's good though is there are a lot of ways to mediate it. There are a lot of things you can do to keep them comfortable for longer. But of course, those are treatments, and people want to be paid for treatments. And if you're unemployed, it's difficult to pay for treatments.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking at the whole thing and I'm going, okay, what can I do here? Because I have this amazing creature that's a part of my, being. And he's been incredible to me, and he's literally saved my mind. If I didn't have him, I would have cracked. And now he's sick, and I'm not in a position where I can do something to help him. I'm like, what do I do? How can I help my horse? What can I do for him? And I'm like, okay, wait. Let's be creative here. We're in entertainment, right? There's a lack of entertainment options going on right now anyway. There's not a whole lot of things happening in terms of, especially positive stuff. It's just a whole bunch of craziness. Whenever I post a video with Sammy, this is so long, I hope you guys don't mind.
No.
Okay, whenever I post a video with Sammy, I always get the question, "Ooh, I'd like to learn how to ride," or "I've always been interested in horses," and things like that. And so I'm looking at that, I'm like, well, wait, I get a lot of questions about him. What if I crowdfund a documentary?
All I got to say is every time I see you post a video with Sandy, I'm like, is that thing going to eat his head? That horse is going to just eat his head one day.
Those are the ones that go viral the more he's munching on me. But so I'm like, why don't I crowdfund a documentary? But we'll take it not only from saving, it's called Saving Sammy, but the deal is this: not only are we going to go through how he helped me, how we got there, and getting him comfortable, but think about this, gentlemen. The very nature by which we measure the strength of our mechanical creations is horsepower.
Yeah.
Horses are so intrinsic to human advancement, and we've forgotten that. We've completely forgotten that. The width of our roads, horses. The width of our tracks, horses. The height of street lamps, horses. Cars, horses. Taekwondo has a kick called the flying side kick. It's the most famous kick in martial arts, the flying side. Everybody knows about that. The jump side kick, right? You know how that kick was formed? To knock soldiers off their horses.
Yeah.
There are so many aspects of human advancement that are completely, utterly due to horses that we have completely forgotten about. That's not even getting into the way that horses heal, because obviously, you know, I have a very personal story about how the horse healed me. Because summing this up, horses are prey animals and they're herd animals, right? So if you're going to get on an 11 to 2,500 pound animal that is a part of a herd, well, herds react emotionally to whatever's going on. Somebody gets alarmed, it flows right through the herd. Everybody knows we got to run, right? So if you run up on a horse and you're all over the place mentally, that horse is like, okay, cool. Something's about to eat us. They don't know that you have anxiety because of work or whatever. They're just like, something's about to eat us. So hop on me and we're going. And when they go, it can be tricky to stop them if they get really going. So you find a way to compose yourself. You find a Zen space when you go play with your horse. And after a while that you just become able to utilize that in other aspects of life. And that's how he saved me. I was able to take that and move it forward and move it into other aspects of my life. You know? So, and guys, I'm not even scratching the surface. And I'm going to stop there because I've already done it. But I'm not even scratching the surface of how horses are so intrinsic to the human condition. And
and it's funny though, because horses used to be considered like in the past, man, that was your transportation. Everyone had a horse, and then it became a car was a luxury item. You know what I mean? And now, it's become, it flipped. You know what I mean? And now a car is your transportation, and if you have a horse, that is a luxury. You know what I mean? It's so crazy. Like it just makes me wonder, man. What if we all said screw it? I don't want a car, and we all just went back to horses. Firstly, oh my god, it would take me so long to get to Mages, Dave. I don't want to I have to.
Yeah, that's why that's why people died on the way to Oregon on the Oregon Express. It took too long, you know. So it was streaming. That was long form. That was long form travel. Let's get to the short form travel. Exactly. I'm hopping in my car.
Oh, that's a beautiful wraparound. Look at that.
So basically, So okay, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying that's just also a lot of shoveling that has to happen with horses.
There's a lot of shoveling. So to wrap it up super quick, right? Like anything I do super quick. So the whole idea is, save my boy, let everybody know about how awesome horses are. Mm-hmm. And it's, and this is a thing that can go as long as people are watching it because there's so much to cover. So people are kind of like, what's going on? So the documentary is a vehicle with which, to both inform and, it wraps everything up. My horse gets saved. I get to tell people about horses and share what everybody's asking me. And it ends up being work for me as well. So it's like a net positive all around.
That, and look, hopefully, I don't know if you'll have to where I can put a link in the description in this FanCon as far as, you can go find Damion's Instagram.
Links on links, bro.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know you do, man. Some of y'all people is like, some people when I have them on the show, it's like, here's the links to find out more about them, and then there's like one link, and then like sometimes somebody's on the show and I'm like, here's 20. This is why people have to send me links to make sure all the links get there, and that's all I'm saying, man. In some cases, it's like I already have them. Like all y'all have been on several times, so it's easy. I go and copy and paste from past times, but sometimes it's like, oh my god, this is too much, man. And then can I say, also in the form of streaming, Damion, you got the works going on. You know what I mean? Which is a whole thing with Hannibal Tattoo. Hannibal, I love you. I swear, I'm gonna get that game edited. That should have already been out. I'm really sorry. Hopefully, it's out before. Don't look at me, Dave. I know we got to schedule another one, and I know, and I know, and you know, and that's all we'll leave it to is it's known. You know what I mean? I'm the unknown factor, but that's a known thing. Not to everyone, but there are some people that just they bloody well know. You know what I mean? Right? You could do. Right? But then, like I said, you got the works going on, as well as you can check out the D&D game that we're playing over here, which is played within the world of the Sundering, which is something that is within the works of what you guys are doing over there with Hannibal. So there's that, which also offers a different form of entertainment in streaming, because it's just a short audio play. I think they run 10 to 15 minutes a piece.
If that.
Yeah.
I think the individual episodes are longer. I think the whole thing is going to be, I don't think it's that long. I think we kept it pretty short. So
it's not as long form as when we're actually playing a game, because I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm the dude in a D&D world that's from this world, and I'm very much playing that character to full effect. Like just cast a fireball. That's a really bad idea. Shut up! I already did it.
This room is only 10 foot by 10 foot. That's not a good idea. Too late.
Too late. Kind of like with streaming services, it's too late. It exists, and I don't think. And that goes like, Rob, you had Iron Man 2 sitting over there, and you picked something else because you were too lazy to get up to get Iron Man.
Yep. I will admit that freely, because it was such a stupid moment in my life, and it really showed me what the hold that this had on me.
So you passed up Scarlett Johansson's first appearance as Black Widow.
Yep.
And you watched what, Kangaroo Jack? Come on.
No, but it's probably equivalent. I can't remember exactly what I watched now for the life of me.
Sorry.
I sense a Kangaroo Jack fan.
No, just the fact, Rob, that you literally remember the film that you wanted to watch.
Right.
But based on the fact that you had so much there, you ended up choosing something else to avoid getting up and putting in a DVD. Yo, look, if y'all got the DVD at home and you want to watch it, stand up, put the DVD in the DVD player,
Yes.
and watch what you really want. Don't choose something just because it's in front of you and simple. The simple thing is never really, like, and in the span of human history, I can't think of a time where the simple thing was the best thing. All right? That's just not how life works.
I don't know. There was this girlfriend I had back in high school. That's all I'll go. That's as far as I'll say it.
Yeah, I still do a lot of like physical media, because like I watched. This was my double feature tonight before we got going. I've got like horror films, and that's one of my favorite things about streaming service, is because I'll see a horror film, I can go to work, and me and my coworker will say, "Oh, I saw this horror film." He's like, "Oh, what streaming is that on?" "Oh, it's on this." And so then next week he comes in and we go, "Oh man, wasn't that great?" And I've got a lot of customers come in and we have these movie conversations. And if it wasn't for streaming, we probably would never get to see them, because, oh, you missed it on it showed it last Sunday night on the Sunday movie on ABC. We missed it. And now I can be like,
you are leaving the Blockbuster of it all out of the situation, Dave, though.
Was that?
You are leaving the Blockbuster of it all out of the situation.
Right?
Yeah.
That was a Friday night, dude. Blockbuster was a Friday night.
Blockbuster was great. Loved going to Blockbuster. You'd spend 3 hours walking around looking for a movie, and then you finally get home and it's like, oh, wait, I got to get up for school tomorrow or something. I don't have time to watch it now.
And that's also
call and be like, hey, do you have any copies of that? Stick it in the side for me.
And It's also something that brought a sense of community. Those small stores. And it's I'm gonna take this a step farther than streaming. is just the fact that that's been lost a lot. And it's a streaming service too, so I'll throw it in. I mean, they made The Boys. I love Garth Ennis, and I think they did a great job with The Boys. But Amazon has ruined so much as far as in a social manner and the social constructs that we had before to make it to where it's like, okay, well, I don't have to interact with anybody. I can just go, and then people are like, well, I'm socially anxious. Well, that's fine, but the more you interact with humans, the more it will make it to where you're not so socially anxious because you will realize that, oh, well, hey, people can be okay. Sure, 1 out of every 10 or 100 or whatever is going to be a real a-hole, but that happens. I can't say in the span of running this show, there's like not maybe like a quest or two where I'm like, I'm just not putting that out, man.
I've been on one of those.
It's
Getting those
I've
creepy.
actually been on 5 episodes. Only 2, if this one makes it, have made it to air. I'm just
Really? This is interesting.
It was because of the other guy, Damion, not you.
Kept being the other guy. It's weird.
Hey, look, man, when you're trying to assemble a bunch of people, that is typically when you will find that individual. You know what I mean? But like I said, when you're doing that in a manner of going to a Blockbuster, if it's just people going to Walmart and looking for stuff or, looking through the movies like it was more apropos to before all these streaming services, and you could literally get whatever you wanted delivered the next day at your house, whether it be food or a TV or a new shelf or whatever, you know what I mean? And then instantly set up your new TV and turn on Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Disney. But pick one. I'm sure there's 1,000 more that I'm not mentioning, and turn on whatever. Like the one that really recently got me is now Raw, as well as AEW Dynamite, are both on streaming services. And I never thought you would get weekly episodic wrestling on streaming. That,
Especially live.
yeah.
That's on Netflix now, right?
Yep.
Raw is, yeah. I'm not sure what the deal AEW got is, but I'm positive it's not Netflix because I'm pretty sure Triple H probably put something in. It's like, you're not bringing in that other competitor company. We are the wrestling company you get.
There's an exclusivity contract.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But that goes right back to the availability because WWE has done that, you can go back and see all these pay-per-views from years before. It's all
they
sitting
had
there in their library.
a streaming service. WWE had a streaming service and it failed. And so now they had to go to somebody else to do it.
Yeah. I've seen a recent clip, and I think it was Cody Rhodes talking, and he said Vince McMahon went into a locker room, and it was like Cena, Seth Rollins, and Cody Rhodes, and they're all asking, what are you watching? What are you watching? What are you watching? And they're like, oh, I'm watching the classic WCCW. I'm watching the classic. Or I'm watching like SummerSlam 93 and I'm watching this or that. And he's like, wait, so I'm paying to make all this new original content and all you guys are just watching the old stuff? And I don't think Vince McMahon understood that streaming service probably would have worked had he just been like, here's all the stuff we own and I'm going to put out the shows that we do on a weekly basis. It wasn't necessary for them to put so much money into creating all the content that they did. I think that was probably one of the main downfalls of the WWE network. That's what it was. Because why
trying new stuff isn't bad. It's just you got to moderate it if it's not working.
And he did. Yeah.
Not everything needs to be blitzkrieg.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why, look, when we're planning season 3 a little bit different, I'm not going to lie, as far as how we're going to do things, as far as just making a couple switches here and there, mainly so my mental can handle it a little better and I don't feel blitzkrieged on my brain to make sure everything comes out in the proper time frame. I'm going to be real honest, man. Thankfully, the team is developed over here with Shiro, Dave, Scott, and everybody helping to make sure the questionnaire works as it does, and it's been phenomenal. And then everybody that comes on as a guest it's been awesome. But
Dude, there is a reason the movie Madhouse goes live every week. And that's because I don't deal with editing. I don't deal with anything. It's live, it's the show, and there you go. And I move on.
But
Just
man, my show looks prettier, Rob.
I'll give you that. 100%. I'll give you that.
You know, and I'm trying, like I said, and I'd like to think that I want people to be able to watch this and be able to see the nuances when we're having this conversation with whatever we're discussing, you know, because I think, God, Damion, you really got in my head with that one, man, because I never thought about it, because now I'm sitting here thinking, like, you know, when I sat and binged watched whatever show, I'm not a real big binge watcher, I'm really not, like, it's never been a thing of mine, I'll be real honest, but I know there's shows that I have. It makes me think, like, man, did I not appreciate that as much because of the fact that I sat and watched 3 episodes straight in a row? You know?
Oh, I guarantee you it happens because I binged Stranger Things when it came out. And then I would have people talk. So sorry?
No, I was like, yes, I was agreeing.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then I've had people come up and say, oh, I love the part when he did this. And I'm going, I don't remember that part. I watched them all. And I would go back and rewatch it, and it felt like I was watching something brand new. So my brain had glazed over at some point, and I was on autopilot, just watching it to get through it.
A lot of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
After a while, you start going, oh, they used that same joke in this episode again. You know, sometimes you can see where writers would fall on a bit, and it may not hit the same way if you only watched once a week. But when you watched 4 episodes of, like I said, Bob's Burger in a row, you do catch something. You're like, oh, no, there's that joke again. There's that joke again.
And sometimes it ends up, like, if you watch it over time, it ends up being a callback. But if you watch it all together, it just ends up being that joke again.
Yeah.
And I prefer a callback. Like, I love a great callback. You know, I think... Yeah. Man,
this does seem like a more negative episode about streaming.
Look, we got into the
They
positivity
are.
with Sandy, all right, and then we got the works, and there's also the positivity, I like to think, of the questionnaire, where in and of itself we promote people to go and try to enjoy more long-form entertainment. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you another thing, like, read, y'all, read. It's the greatest form of long-form entertainment, is to sit, and I don't care what you read. I don't care if you know, go get a book like Suburban Dicks. Go grab a comic, and I guarantee you there's a comic out there you'll love. Go read a D&D manual. There are 1,000, go read some history books, anything. But just take it into that context, because I think when you consume things like that and you're reading, it does make you, like, you absolutely have to focus at a different level.
Well, and not only that, if you look at some of the greatest filmmakers, it will say Jaws. I know a lot of it was because the shark wasn't working, but it started a trend where they showed so little of the actual shark and stuff because it left a lot to your imagination. And that's literally what a book is for.
Right.
Yep.
So if filmmakers are doing it, books have got it down.
Well, it's like funny, because in a way, I'll try not to get too deep into this, but, you know, growing up reading, didn't matter what color the characters I was reading about were. I had in my head however I wanted to see them.
Exactly. The world is your own.
Yeah.
And
that's
why
those
Twilight
words
works so well.
That's why which?
I said that's why Twilight works so well. They never described the girl. They never described the main character.
Oh, really?
So everyone thought it was her.
Nice.
Yeah, but they still
That's what my wife said. I didn't read it.
Sure, Dave.
From a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ain't got to lie.
Still describe sparkly vampires. So there you go. That does.
And that's a valid point, though, because within reading, you can more imagine yourself, regardless where you come from, your background, anything within those characters. So it allows you, I think, a different level of escapism and and at the same time, it allows you to put yourself in an entirely different situation and perhaps examine it from how you would from the life you've already lived. And I think that, I mean, there's like the book that I started off the show with, learning critical literacy and empathy through graphic novels, you know? And I think one of the best ways to learn empathy for humans nowadays, unless you're doing it through conversations like this and actually speaking to people in depth about things, the best way to do it is to read and to read things from all different areas. Because in doing that, you learn so much. I mean, I know just from since I've started the show, even there are different books and different things that I've read, and it's given me different perspectives on things, like Anana the Were-Spider, which is a phenomenal book. I highly recommend you all check it out. But I'd never known about, like, I know a lot about a lot of different mythologies, you know, like Greek, Egyptian, Norse. There's so many different mythologies. I didn't realize until I read that. I was like, oh, these are all like really European mythologies. Like they're real white, man. And in reading that, I mean, they are, man. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I guess a couple of them aren't, but you know, they're typically they're mostly, and that's because that's what you're presented at, or that's what you're presented in school, especially within the U.S. Going to Nana the Were-Spider, it's African mythology, and I'd still need to take the time to read more into this because it was such a different vibe of anything else I'd ever read, as far as just how the gods that were in that mythology were, you know? So I don't know, man. I think it's important. And streaming has taken so much of that away from us because of the way that we just consume things now. Like, look, I'll tell you, go to subscribe to the Instagram on the questionnaire, right? Check out the reels. Go subscribe to the TikTok, right? But if you see one and it catches your attention, right? And you're like, ooh, that was an interesting point made by Damion or Olivia or Doug or Dave or Rob or whoever do you see that particular TikTok from. Go and watch the long interview, because there might be 10 to 20 to just two other points that are made in that interview that you might find really insightful, you know?
Mhm.
And then go check out whoever's work it was, you know, whether it was Damien's, Doug's, Rob, like, well, whatever, you know, because everybody on here is a creator. Or just go bug Dave at Mages, but you got to go to Indy for that one.
Yeah.
You know, so that might be a
For
trip
now.
for you. Yeah. For now.
Oh, you know, worldwide, baby. We're gonna do it.
It's on the interwebs.
Yeah, we're
That is, I mean, you can always go onto the site and, you know, bug one of the guys at the shop. It's a great group of guys up there. And
Thanks,
I'd
man.
say that from some, like, all y'all, man, like that. You seen how hard you hit me, Dave, all of you, man. Like
I did. We take
son of a such and such and so, and I'm not, and I don't. It's bad when you get hit
Love you.
so emotionally it annoys you, you know? What are you gonna do? Right? I need some more positivities on streaming though. Gentlemen. Right?
Okay.
Right? I just need
I'm
some
not doing it.
David's running the
I'm
show.
not the conversation. Y'all go.
I'll give you one. It is, Damien mentioned it earlier though, but it's accessibility of people to get their films out. Because literally, a buddy of mine from LA, he flew up here to Canada. We put together a web series and got it on Amazon Prime, and it's now being watched in Germany and China. And that's just stuff you couldn't even begin to think of. You know, if you had to ship out an actual physical film to places, it never would have happened.
See,
There's
that's
yeah.
a very valid point, because I know, like, and I've got people in Russia that listen to my music, and I'm like, what? That's really weird. You're telling me there's some dude in Russia, like, bumping Kill a Factor? All right. That's crazy, but okay. You know? So it is that, and it is nice, and it goes back to my point of then you can consume media from completely different places, which will teach you more about those places, and that's a phenomenal thing of streaming. I just wish people would more, like, there's a reason at the end of every quest. Not PanCon, but when it's just a quest and I have one particular individual on, I end it by telling you how you can make that person's day, right? And then I tell you how you can just mess with them, because that's just my mentality, and I think it's entertaining, right? But I also point out that literally, if you've watched an entire quest and you've hate watched it, like, just why? You know what I mean? Especially with the amount of things that are available in this day and age. I do not understand hate watching, because if you don't like something, you can turn it off real quick and go get Iron Man. Go, like, stand up off your couch, go grab Iron Man 2
I
and
see
put
where
it in
this
the
is going.
DVD player.
You made yourself the example, Rob.
I
You did
did,
it.
so-
You did, Rob. You set that up. You set that up on a T stand for me and gave me a howitzer to shoot it with. All right.
It's literally, if you didn't swing at this, I'd be ashamed.
Yeah, like, come on, man. It's right there. Like, all you got to do is get it. Why are you literally watching something that's affecting you in a negative manner when you know that there are things that don't? Like, with as hard as life is, because life look like there ain't nothing easy about life. There's not. Why try to do something that makes it harder for you that you can switch just like that? All you gotta do is walk, like, what, 6 feet, Rob?
Shh. Actually, it was less. Let's not even.
I was really hoping I had an Iron Man 2 sitting next to me, but like the best I could do was a Captain Marvel. So
Part of the MCU. There we go.
I was like Iron Man on the shelf. I was looking.
That's what I mean. When that happened, and I sat back and I finished watching whatever I watched, I realized how lazy I really was, and that has never happened since.
I am
Nice.
so annoyed that you don't remember what you watched.
I don't.
Right?
That's yeah.
Like,
well, the other thing streaming has caused us to be lazy about is commercials is when we got things done. Commercials would come on, and you're like, okay, I'm going to put the dishes away. Oh, I'm going to go fold the laundry. Oh, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that.
Zip to the bathroom, get a snack.
You're mad because you have to wait 13 seconds for the next episode to start. So you grab your controller and you're like, skip, and you're. That's like the biggest negative for me, really, about the streaming service. Everything else be damned. I don't get anything done around my house like I should. It's okay if I'm painting miniatures or something at my art desk. That's fine. But like, there's so many other times where I'm just like, I'm just going to sit here. I'm going to scroll TikTok and I'm just going to watch TV. And I'm not even going to be, I'm completely brain dead, autopilot, no idea what's going on.
Yep.
oh, Dave, that hurts my head. Why do people look? Y'all are making, like, really, really valid points between not getting up to grab Iron Man 2, you're missing nuances in the actors' performances, and you're not just getting your butt up and putting your towels away. You know what I mean? Like, these are all bad effects on society. And then you want to get into the fact of, in all sincerity, how it affects the creators. Sure, it's awesome people can get all of this out, but the fact that all of these services, they're not controlled by creatives. They're controlled by a board of directors with a CEO that would much rather take everything they can and keep it for themselves, up to and including all the platforms the questionnaire is on. You know what I mean? Like, they don't want to pay the people creating these contents. That's like, look, if YouTube wasn't the biggest, like, ooh, look, I know a way to just make something and not really have to make anything of history, because the people that created YouTube, all the execs, all that top, they had to provide all the hardware, and they did that because they knew they could. And then people will be like, cool, I can put out stuff. They don't have to have the thoughts or the conversations or come up with the subject or be entertaining and witty and be able to turn a subject on its head and flip it this or that or that or this. All they had to do was put forward the platform.
But at least they did create the infrastructure that enables it. You know what I mean? They if somebody bought YouTube, then you has it been bought out by, I know Google bought it. I'm saying, are the original creators still involved?
Well, sorry.
Are the original creators still involved or not at all?
Not at all.
All right, well then my point is dead.
No. Also, if you look back in the 70s, 80s, and even to the 90s, when people were looking for content, just period, whether it's film or television, there were a limited number of people coming to them because of the limits of filming. Whereas now we have massive streaming services and we have massive amount of people that can make content because you can literally do it on your phone. So they don't have to go, oh my God, when is the next guy coming in? Because there's probably 20 people knocking on their door every hour.
Yeah.
So that's why it's now not a paid service, but okay, we pick you to put it on here. We're not going to pay you, but we'll let you be here because they can pick and choose.
What percentage? I want to know, and I want a number from all three of you, right? What percentage of creators, and when I say creators, I mean across the board based on how easy it is to put out a book, a comic, a podcast, music, a movie, a TV show, all of this. What percentage of those creators do you think we'd be better off without?
Better off without?
Yeah.
Without the
creators? Yeah, Rob, you spoke first. That means I want your percentage first.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd ever say the world is better off without, because everything to me is a learning curve. Birdemic to me is a learning curve. Okay?
Wait, what?
Like,
I love the movie. It's so bad.
Birdemic.
Birdemic.
It is horrible. But yet there's 3 of them and there's a 4th one coming.
Yes.
Okay. So somebody's buying this. So this is what I mean. This is that learning curve. Okay, I don't want that in any of my films, when I see certain things. So I don't know if I could say, no, the world would be better off without these people. I couldn't do that.
Not without these people. Jesus, Rob, make it dark.
No, without their content.
Okay. God. Calm
They're
down,
gone.
Man.
Off the planet. Stick them on the Death Star behind me.
I can't give a percentage, but Dave, do you want to go first? Because I don't want to. Okay. I can't give a percentage, but I can say that there's a lot of people taking advantage of folks that don't have the ability to emote or connect, and to put them in a negative space that enables them to promote negative ideals that hurt others, and they can all go.
Okay. Yeah.
The only content creators I say should go, and they've done nothing positive for our society, is 5-minute crafts. They need to go away. YouTube, the 5-minute craft guys, their whole thing is horrible and it's worthless.
Dude.
And yeah.
What about Art Attack? I used to love that show.
Art Attack was that was another guy who kind of he used to be really good, and then he fell into a lot of the traps of, we're going to give away, a brand new Lamborghini, but we drew all over it. And, that was that. Mr. Beast. Oh, he used to be a friend. I used to love watching Mr. Beast, but no, I still like Mr. Beast, but 5-minute crafts, gotta go.
Look, Why'd you have to bring up that name, Dave?
5 Million Crafts or Mr. Beast?
The latter.
Oh, well, you know. Yeah. She
Well,
used to be fun.
I am blissfully ignorant of anything having to do with that guy.
All right, and look, I only know one thing about him, and when you harbor those kind of people and you're aware of it,
Yeah, it's a problem now. Yeah.
that is the end of the conversation, and it should be the end of you in a public forum if you're harboring those kind of individuals and you're aware of it. All right, that should be go away and be quiet and work at McDonald's. All right.
Well, I think we've proven beyond reasonable doubt that this country doesn't have a problem with people who harm those kinds of people.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to say anything because I'm Canadian, right? So that's just.
You're not allowed to be in this
Rob,
country. You're the 51st state.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about, Rob.
What? No. We're not there yet. Okay.
I'm in the bluest county in the reddest state in the United States.
I'm in one of the real
actually,
red
that's
counties.
Wait, where's my popcorn?
Look, don't make it like, hey, so who votes we make Canada the 51st state?
What the?
Okay, you're asking me if I want to join a pyromaniac.
No, I'm not
at
talking
his-
about you, Rob. You're Canadian. You don't get a vote. All right.
Oh, okay, that's fair enough.
We could vote on this.
Until you're a state, you don't get a vote. You don't get a vote for whether or not we make you a state until you get a state, and then you don't get
Fair
Yeah.
enough.
And then if you try to leave, then you're a secessionist, and we don't like that. So we'll vote you in, and then you can't vote yourself out. That's how.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You didn't know? You didn't know you guys didn't get a vote for that, Rob?
Yeah.
I had a hankering, but I wasn't
Take
confirmed.
Brexit.
I'm
Brexit,
not
family.
gonna discount it.
Oh my God.
How do we always end up falling into this?
It's because I always bring a Canadian on.
Right?
That's why.
No, it was
Like,
Glutton for punishment. That's it.
I mean, look, sincerely, if it becomes the 51st state, then at least I can say that most of the guests that have been on the show were from America.
Well, he is from America, just not from the United States.
yes.
I mean, okay, well, they're
That's-
from the U.S. Fair enough. If they make if they make Canada the 51st state, then most of the guests will have been from the U.S. You know what I mean? Because at this point, I honestly think most of the guests have been from the future 51st state of the United States.
I feel like you have a T-shirt about this.
I don't, man. I'm just seeing. Oh, I know, man. I was getting ready to. Damn, now I gotta like make a cut so that doesn't show up. Why do people always do that when I'm close to Brad?
Oh, we can make an edit just by doing that? Give me a second.
You son of a. Now I'm gonna make sure it's the 51st state. I didn't really I wasn't agreeing with it until you just came up in here making me have to edit more, Rob. And now I got personal beef with Canada. All
I
right.
want you to practice your skills. That's what I'm thinking.
All right. Overall, I like streaming.
Yes.
I have so many clips that I can cut out of this show that it is ridiculous. I want to point out and oh my gosh. All right. So, final thoughts, gentlemen. Right. And I'm going to start with the future American. Robert.
Okay. How can I help you, sir? I'm practicing. What do you want to know about? Oh, sorry, that's Canadian. Never mind.
Hey, Minnesota, you're good.
Oh, Minnesota, fair enough. Fair enough, you know.
Oh, don't you know? Yeah, but no.
Final thoughts
Nobody
on streaming's effects, man. Do you have any final thoughts? Not on the fact that they're gonna try to I don't want to get into that. I still can't believe that. I still can't believe like, do they really know like you guys aren't like you're the reason the Geneva Convention exists? Like, do they like? I feel like people don't learn from. That's besides the point.
And
It
we're
is
back
it's
on Canada.
quite clear that they don't know, Jay.
They
It is so
don't.
clear that they don't know.
Nope.
The clarity
I'd
of
have to-
is painfully, literally painfully obvious at this point. Literally painfully obvious.
I feel like the art of war has been used so much socially and economically that a lot of people forgot that there are some people that know how to use it really well for the last word of the title of the book.
Yeah. All right. So, Rob, what do you think?
Yeah.
I'll zip it back around. I think, honestly, streaming is about 70% positive to me. You know, there is a lot of negatives, but just for accessibility and being able to produce content and get things out, I do really like streaming. I just wish it didn't make me lazy.
And it makes it to where Rob has a floating mic in front of his face, and that's kind of
Right?
funny. I
There
want
it
to make
is.
a little. I want to
And
make
it's-
a little. I'm gonna make a little. Oh yeah, I keep going back and forth, Rob. I'll make a whole different edit.
Sometimes it's the mic, sometimes it's the Millennium, sometimes it's the mic.
Right?
What kind of witchcraft is this?
Sorcery.
So you got warlocks and witches up in Canada too. So
That's it. I'm going to get tossed in a river soon. I can feel it.
do you weigh more than a duck?
Sorry?
Do you weigh more than a duck?
Very small rock.
More like a laden swallow.
You didn't get that reference? I got that reference right. I got that reference right.
Oh, we continued it.
Oh, yeah, you did. I just added to it.
Yeah.
Holy grail.
Look,
Holy grail.
look, man.
Okay, what was your take on streaming?
I'll go with right there with it. It's 75% positive. It's turning into cable all over again, though. I mean, it used to be you had 2 services, and now we've got 80, and now they're all starting to pull back again. So it's pretty much all I watch though is streaming. If I'm not reading comics, not doing art, streaming's on. Oh, and if I'm playing Fortnite, so so that's about it. I mean,
That's when I
streaming.
watch my reels.
So and hey, I still get to kill Mr. Beast on Fortnite, so that's fun.
It's a win-win.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go.
Damion, what is your opinion?
50-50.
50-50.
See, and I'll be real honest. I think Rob, Dave, I think you guys we're a little generous. I'm apt to agree with Damion, and it's 50-50. And I say that specifically more than anything because of the effect that it has on the people that are actually creating the content that you're watching, and that they don't receive their due for what they're creating. It goes more to a bunch of individuals that are more sitting around than anything. And sure, they created the platform. I appreciate that, but
Purchased the play.
or purchased it at this point, yeah, which is probably the case with most larger streaming platforms. They've been purchased. They're not owned by I'm pretty sure Spotify has been tossed around a couple times for that matter, you know. So yeah, they're not even owned by their original creators as far as in that ilk. So that's yeah.
Well, my reason for 50-50 is negatives are more easily passed along than positives, and so it enables you to really, really get into negative spaces and negative stuff if you're there. You can, the algorithm will put you in it. My algorithm sometimes really works on making me angry about a bunch of stuff. So
That's
it's
very valid.
And you're more apt to watch something that's going to, we like strong feelings, and anger and negativity are strong feelings that are easy to just kind of process and kind of, ride. So because of that, that's why I give it 50-50. It's great because you can get anything. Unfortunately, it's horrible because you can get anything. if you're in the right headspace, it's an amazingly positive experience. You can find everybody to help lift you up and help put you in spaces you want to be and help learn amazing things, connect with so many different people that will enrich and embiggen your world. I'm using biggin. But if you're angry and you're feeling small, you'll find so many people that will put you in your place and tell you that you have reason to feel that way and tell you that it's everybody else's fault and show you who you should be blaming for things that are not valid targets.
That's a very valid point. That is very valid.
That was very, very, very well spoken, Damion. And I think a phenomenal place to say, with the quest that we've been running over here at the questionnaire, I'm glad that I've had the benefit to deal and associate and talk to and quest with all of the individuals I have. Like I said, we're getting ready to wrap up season 2. Right. It's coming real close to an end. I appreciate you 3 individuals coming on this quest. You'll be able to catch Dave on what'll be our season finale, where I really expect him to just pick on me a lot. I really, because I think Scott and Vlad were already. See, I knew it. They probably got a different group chat that I'm not even in. They're just sitting there bloody well plotting. Right. But I'm not getting. I ain't got nothing. I ain't got nothing of messing with these 3 individuals. If you want to do that, I think we've got that out there somewhere. I don't know if we do for you, Dave. Right? I'm gonna make you fill out a new questionnaire, man. I'm gonna send you a random one. Right.
Pick up a book if you're wanting to read something. This is pretty crazy. Came out a few years ago. We Stand on Guard. Brian K. Vaughan. The U.S. Attacks Canada. It's a really good book. Check it out.
You will become the 51st state, Robert. It will happen, right? But again, like I say at the end of every episode, don't hate watch. And remember, long form entertainment, while it won't give you that quick dopamine, I am personally, and this is from my experience, it'll give you a better dopamine when you get to the point where it gives you that. And remember, graphic novels create critical literacy and empathy, right? So go and get your comic on. Besides that, have a good night, y'all.
Night, everybody.
This has been the questionnaire.
Where's the link?
Thanks for checking out the questionnaire.
In the link below, yes?
I will drop it like it's hot.
That's another party.
It's cool, man. I love it.
The questionnaire. That is all.